Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I do this from time to time, but I would like to enlist the help of several of the men tonight in reading Scripture. So, Robert, if you would take Matthew 27, 32 through 46. Ryan, if you'll take Matthew 46 through 56. Matthew 27, 46 through 56. Michael Flaherty, if you'll take Matthew 27, 32. Mike Mauser, if you'll take Mark 15, 21. Doug, if you'll take Matthew 34 through 44.
What chapter?
Matthew 27, 34 through 44. I know we're repeating some, but
34 through 44?
44, yeah. Charles, if you'll take Matthew 44, chapter 27, 40 through 44 through 54. Have I hit everyone? All right. Ryan, I'm also going to give you Luke 23, 39 through 43. You get 2, just because you're special.
It's a nice shirt you got on.
That's right. Luke 23, 39 through 43. We're about ready to hear the accounts of the crucifixion be read here soon. But what I want to ask you is, do you like to look at old family albums? See the snapshots, see pictures? Do you like to look at those things? Do you like to look back when you were a little bit younger? I want to tell you, I have some pictures where I was pretty good looking.
Yes. Yes. Jump shot was good too, right?
Yeah. I could get off the ground back in the day. But have you ever noticed when you're on vacation and you're getting ready to take that perfect picture, there's always someone that walks in? I know they make cameras nowadays that can take those people away and stuff for that, but there's always a snapshot that gets messed up somehow. I assume that maybe some of you have even photobombed a friend or two in your lifetime and messed up their snapshot. We're going to look at the crowd that day that were the faces in the crowd at the crucifixion tonight. We're going to look at 3 snapshots. And if you look hard enough, you might find your face in one of those snapshots. So let's take a little closer look at the photo album of the cross and see if we can't find our face in the crowd. And can't see that maybe you might be in multiple pictures here. If you'll go ahead, Robert.
Matthew 27, 32 through 46. As they went out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. They compelled this man to carry his cross. And when they came to a place called Golgotha, which means place of a skull, they offered him wine to drink, mixed with gall, but when he tasted it, he would not drink it. And when they had crucified him, they divided his garments among them by casting lots. Then they sat down and kept watch over him there. And over his head they put the charge against him, which read, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." Then 2 robbers were crucified with him, one on the right and one on the left. And those who passed by derided him, wagging their heads and saying, "You who would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross." So also the chief priests with the scribes and elders mocked him, saying, "He saved others, he cannot save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God deliver him now, if he desires him. For he said, 'I am the Son of God.'" And the robbers who were crucified with him also reviled him in the same way. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land till the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried out in a loud voice, saying, "Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani?" That is, my God, why have you forsaken me?"
Doug?
Do you want me to read from 32 or?
44 through
44 through what?
44 through 56.
Okay. Even the robbers who were crucified with him reviled him with the same thing. Now from the 6th hour until the 9th hour there was darkness over all the land. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, that is, my God, why have you forsaken me? Some of those who stood there when they heard that said, this man is calling for Elijah. Immediately one of them ran and took a sponge filled with sour wine and put it on a reed and offered it to him to drink. The rest said, let him alone, let us see if Elijah will come to save him. And Jesus cried out again with a loud voice and yielded up his spirit. Then behold, the veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and the earth quaked, and the rocks were split. And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. Coming out of the grave after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many. Is that 54?
56.
56. So when the centurion and those with him, who were guarding Jesus, saw the earthquake and the things that had happened, they feared greatly, saying, truly this was the Son of God. And many women who followed Jesus from Galilee ministered to him, were there looking on from afar, among whom were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's son.
Mike, I think you have 27:32. If we could read that again, please.
As they were going out, they met a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross.
And Mike?
Then they compelled a certain man, Simon, a Cyrenian, the father of Alexander and Rufus, as he was coming out of the country and passing by, to bear his cross.
Right. The first snapshot is the one that's forced to the cross. Think about that for a second. There's no indication from this account that this man had any real interest in Jesus. He has simply forced to the cross of Jesus. That's the snapshot we're looking at. Could any of us kind of feel that way, that we're forced to the cross? Think about it. Is a husband here tonight just because his wife is here? Or is a wife here just because her husband's here? Think about that. Is a child here just because they're forced to be here by their parent? Is a wife here only because of their children? Is an elder here only because they're an elder? Is a preacher here only because they get paid? Think about it. Sometimes being here is something you might not want to do. Are you forced to be here? Is it an obligation to be here? Or is it something that you truly want to do? Are you in that snapshot, or have you ever been in that snapshot? I'm going to be the first to say, I have been forced to the cross from time to time in my life. There's times that I willingly didn't want to be here. There's times that I wasn't here because I didn't want to be here. But my face can appear in this picture of being forced to the cross. The second snapshot is Matthew 27:34 through 44. Whoever has. Charles, is that yours? Or Ryan?
I had 44 through.
Okay, Ryan?
34 through
44.
They gave him sour wine mingled with gall to drink, but when he had tasted it, he would not drink. Then they crucified him and divided his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet. They divided my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots. Sitting down, they kept watch over him there. and they put him over his head the accusation written against him, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." Then the 2 robbers were crucified with him, one on the right and another on the left. And those who passed by blasphemed him, saying, wagging their heads and saying, "You who destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross." Likewise, the chief priests also, mocking with the scribes and elders, said, "He saved others. Himself he cannot save. If he is the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God. Let him deliver him now, if he will have him. For he said, 'I am the Son of God.'" Even the robbers who were crucified with him reviled him with the same thing.
Thank you. This snapshot here includes the soldiers, the crowd, and religious leaders. Think about it for a second. This is the foolish at the cross. Is your picture in that? Think about the soldiers. They were in the shadow of Jesus hanging on the cross, and they truly was totally oblivious to what was going on. They were playing games. They were casting lots for his clothes. They could care less. Then you have the religious leaders who should have known better, but their envy, their pride, their self-ambitions all got in the way. All got in the way. And the third one was the crowd in general. Could you see your picture in this? You're so close to the cross, you could reach out and touch it, but you might as well be 1,000,000 miles away from Jesus. Can you imagine going by and mocking Jesus as he hung on that cross? Think about that. Would your face be in that picture? Would that snapshot have caught you mocking Jesus? Does it happen today still? Yes. Jesus is mocked to this day by many people, which include religious leaders and the crowd and soldiers from various armies. It still happens. Foolish at the cross. Has your picture ever fallen into that? Now let's look at the third and final snapshot. Charles, if you want to do Matthew 27, 44 through 54, please.
In the same way, the rebels who were crucified with him also heaped insults on him. From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over all the land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Elihu, Elihu, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." Immediately, one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple courts was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook and the rock split and the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died was raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God."
And Ryan, Luke 23, 39 through 43.
Then one of the criminals who were hanged blasphemed him, saying, "If you are the Christ, save yourself and us." But the other answering, rebuking him, saying, "Do you not even fear God, seeing you are under the same condemnation? And we indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds, but this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said to Jesus, "Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus said to him, "Assuredly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." Now it was about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour. Then the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was torn in two. And when Jesus had cried out with a loud voice, he said, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." Having said this, he breathed his last. So when the centurion saw what had happened, he glorified God, saying, "Certainly this was a righteous man." And the whole crowd who came together to that sight, seeing what had been done, beat their breasts and returned. But all his acquaintances and the women who followed him for Galilee stood at a distance, watching these things.
Thank you. This is the third snapshot at the cross, and this is the picture that I hope all of our faces appear in. This snapshot is forgiven at the cross. Think about it. The criminal, probably the least likely candidate, was forgiven at the cross. Guess what? So were we. We have to accept God's plan, but we were forgiven at the cross. Think about it for just a second. Think of those faces if you were standing there. It'd be remorseful. Tears probably coming down, knowing who Jesus was. Humble. Humility would be there. A plea for help are the expressions on these faces seen in this picture. Think about Jesus hanging on that cross. That's the third snapshot. And I hope that's where our pictures are today. Is that we're in the picture of those that are forgiven at the cross. Now, the question for you tonight is, have you seen your picture in the crowd? Which of those snapshots do you fit into? Are you among those here tonight that maybe were forced to come? Are you among those who were foolish at the cross? Or, hopefully, are you among those that are forgiven at the cross? Before you leave here tonight, make sure that your picture is in God's family photo album. Don't be the forced, don't be the foolish, but be the forgiven. If there's anything that we can do for you tonight so that you will have your picture in the family photo album, please come as we stand and sing.